Alright, I want to get into the travels I did in late 2020 and 2021, and I've gotten into my stories before, but when we just took off after the Christmas bombing, and we went out of town for the Christmas bombing because I thought there was going to be, something told me there's going to be a quake or a bomb or something in that time frame, and it ended up happening. And either way, something told me, I saw the January 6th stuff, and Trump went down on the border, and just weird stuff was aligning, and I knew it was the tribulation, as far as the trumpet sounding and the world and the crowning of the corona and COVID and all these things. But since I knew the timing, and I was in the program of the church just like y'all, but I was noticing things the past 20 years beforehand. The point of it is when these things came and told me that I had to go, I would pray about it, and I would ask for a sign or signs, and I would get those signs, and it would normally be like some type of weird phone call with that date or number associated or whatever kind of thing that would tell me to go. And each time I went, I had some type of experience that showed me what this world was kind of built on in an invisible layer. So with that, I know these forces are moving around at the moment, and I hear stories from people at work. And back in 2020, when these things started happening, there was people around me that were seeing or experiencing some things here and there, and it was enough people to let me know that I wasn't necessarily crazy, and my wife wasn't necessarily crazy, and these things that was going on. And I knew enough about the other side of things because I spent however long reading and researching all these things since a teenager, and there were certain things I heard as a child that clicked and whatever, and I just went off into the so-called dark side of the library, reading stuff that the so-called classroom doesn't teach you about, or the church doesn't teach you about, and science doesn't teach you about, or whatever kind of thing. So the things when we took off thinking that we were going to be living in a tent or some type of Airbnb or something like that or whatever, right? Didn't know how long the Lord was going to provide, whatever kind of thing. Okay, so we ended up stopping in a place the first night. Truck kind of broke down or whatever. We ended up making it to this town where the Garden of Eden is. Okay, and we passed through Solomon's land, and it was like expansive acres upon acres or whatever. This is all in Nebraska. And when stayed overnight there, I didn't even know it was the Garden of Eden until I stepped out the next morning and saw the sign. I said, "What the f is going on, dude?" All right, and then we got up to Wyoming, and the place we stayed there was I was kind of in a so-called panic mode, and I didn't want to stay there, but I didn't know where else to stay. And then my wife finally calmed me down, convincing me, because there was 12 inches of concrete surrounding the bottom floor, and then it had an indoor pool for the kids, and it had a dining area with tables and kitchen and all that, so if things went down, we'd be able to kind of live there, and it's like a open lodge or whatever kind of thing. So It's planning for if shit went down, be able to live for 6 months or however long for till figure out what was going on. But the things we learned in our travels is you can't run from what's coming. Okay, so y'all don't be going out and living in the woods or whatever kind of thing is going to be going on. Okay, you need to realize that we are in past tense in a way, and as we're looking back on these lights that have played out in our world, 80% or so have taken this thing, and the other whatever percent in our main stage, world stage, Mystery Babylon America have already worshipped his name and number, and the number in abbreviation is the no period. Okay? So that's where the people, the MAGA, the left wing, the right wing, all these things are all gathered. He's coming to an eclipse. So as this eclipse is developing in our world on the world stage, we're seeing these different lights come out, and that's where Elon Musk fits in, Jimmy Kimmel fits in, Charlie Kirk fits in, all those types of things that we've been tracking and putting together for you. But the things that we went through, it was just like every time we went out of town, it was like some freaking movie or whatever, hitting some crazy rain floods and hitting blizzards, wife getting sick. It was either way. Plus the visions and dreams, and then just spending the days away in the camper, just reading nonstop, researching, trying to put together what's been done, what's been going on, what's happening, what's all these things and whatever else. And either way, so that's where this channel comes in, and I'm just putting it out there as these things go along. And that's where if you go back and listen, kind of things work backwards as things are revealed. And I'm just flowing with what the Spirit is sending through me. Okay, so the places where we went, I can see where these things align as far as darkness and the light, and the things playing out on our world stage and all these things. And I mean, I kind of creeped out, but it's just stuff I have to deal with as far as walking in the dark and the light, which is the darkness where these things are, because the rulers of darkness keep control over this visible spectrum that we're in. And either way, so when I first started doing this channel or this content, I've told these stories before, but I had high-level Masons from Washington, D.C. Sending me messages, telling me to call them Father. I told them, no, you got a new Father now. You're going to call me Father from now on, okay? And I call no man Father. And those types of things, just having fun with them. And either way, I had at least 3 or 4 high-level Masons trying to contact me and shit. So, and then I also had someone confirm the so-called 311 software that the military created and shit like that. Okay, and then the year. Ah, man, I don't know if I should tell this story. Maybe I'll do another video. Either way, the things that the shadow that I told you about in the visions of dawn or whatever. This is kind of like the shadow of dawn and his light and energy that I've told you about, and then now that we've kind of went through this time travel mechanism wormhole for the past few years or whatever, and learning all these things, putting them together, putting things out there and seeing how they transform and mold and all that. But either way, this is where that shadow is starting to come into light, and then I can see the Charlie Kirk and the Doge and the Elon and all those things as the kings on the chessboard. It's where kind of like somebody snuck in behind the backstage or whatever, and there's kind of reminds me of the time we snuck in the back of the church, and it's me and a whole bunch of my brother and a whole bunch of kids from the church, but it was during the Christmas play, and we snuck in the back and shit. We was playing all night long in the dark church, playing hide and go seek and all that kind of stuff. But either way, going back there, seeing everything kind of take place in the shadows and these and that and whatever, and then that's where I told you, like, The Rock's running for president, and then now today it's being revealed that he was going to be running for president in 2022 and whatever, and that kind of goes back to that Christmas time frame when I was telling you all those kinds of things. But now, and then Kamala with the Hercules, but now we're in here with the Hercules, and now we're seeing a reflection with the auto pen, and notice that Trump's face here, and the auto pen in the middle, okay? So he's working that pen, and either way, folks, we'll end it here.